Hey guys, good evening. Good evening. We have another live session this evening, but this time I have a guest very special. We're going international today. I am, of course, with Pamela Lee Urbina. She is representing USA at Mexicana Universal. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes, yes.
Hello, good evening. Good morning to you. What time is it where you are?
It is 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning. Oh my gosh. And you got dressed like this. Do you have another engagement or another event after this?
No, since it was Easter yesterday, part of
Okay.
my Monday morning after this will still be spending time with family.
Oh my gosh. I feel so honored. So you mean to tell me you got dressed up
Uh-huh.
for this interview?
Yes, just for you.
Oh my gosh. And she's in orange. It's a wonderful color. It's in the middle of summer. Pam, let's say hi to a few people who are already in our live stream. So these are the folks very early on. I'm seeing Linnell. Hi, Linnell.
Hi,
Thank you for arranging
Lynette.
this.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, so we have Princess Lynn Limbaga. We have Tea Spiller, One Piece Fan. You know what? This is gonna go on and on and on if I
On and
keep on
on.
greeting them. So, Nat Velasco and you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's nice to go back to this setting because I have been covering the local pageant scene extensively. So it's nice
Hmm.
to have a little bit of a break and talk to someone.
Yes.
All right.
Something a little
So
bit different, right? You needed a break.
exactly. I needed a break. I needed to go international a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So, guys, if you have questions later on for Pam, I'm going to be entertaining some questions. But for now, let's go ahead and get to know Pam more. Pamela,
Okay.
I know you've been to the Philippines. I did a little bit of snooping around. What were you
Uh-huh.
doing here?
So I was actually there because I was a part of the Miss Global International Pageant. I was also representing USA then, and I believe we spent around 3 weeks in Philippines, and we had a great chance to kind of explore the city and visit a few, not only local organizations, but as well as some of your tourist places. Like I believe we went to Palace of Versailles, if I'm not mistaken. We
Okay.
Yes, we had our swimsuit competition there, which I actually won. I was very
Wow.
honored. But yeah, it was so beautiful.
Amazing because every time we have an international guest, I mean, I don't know with the Mexicans, but with the Filipinos, we're kind of same. We feel like we have to find a connection because it's like family. Like when you come here, you're a foreigner. It breaks the ice. It's something that we can talk about. We're very proud of the idea of having someone come over and maybe bring home some memories. What were some of the best memories when you were here the last time?
I mean, gosh, as soon as I stepped a foot in Philippines, it instantly felt like if I was back in Mexico. And
Oh,
surprisingly, some of the Filipinos told me that the elderly speak Spanish because there's like a huge kind of like Mexican Hispanic descent there. And I mean, the way that you received me, the greeting, the hospitality, everything, I felt like if I was just back at home. So I feel like that's like the most generous thing that I kind of take with me from Philippines. And that's why I also want to keep going back because I did build such amazing friendships. I want to be able to go back and spend some more time with them. And one of the things that I really wanted to do while I was there was kind of get to conversate with the elderly people and the locals there. So I can kind of hear their stories, the way that they grew up. And surprisingly, it was also very similar to, again, to Mexico. So I
I
believe we're
know.
more connected than what we think.
I know. I mean, especially with the Mexicans, we're very welcoming of foreigners in general, but with the Mexicans, we always try to find a connection. Historically, we've been connected to each other for
Yes.
so many centuries because of the galleon trade and the Spanish occupation. And then we have this common love for boxing and food
Yes.
and religion and festivals and, of course, beauty pageants. So,
Yes.
when you were here to compete at Miss Global, it was an international pageant, but what were the things that you were hearing about the pageantry scene here in the Philippines? Is it somewhat different or very similar to how it is in Mexico or in maybe in parts of the USA?
I mean, I feel like you really take recognition of the importance of pageantry because it is a stepping stone or a platform that will be used to elevate you and impulse you to expanding you and giving you the opportunities that one, can only get through these platforms in order to achieve your personal dreams or professional dreams. And I feel like in Philippines, you really have that recognition. In the US, I believe we still have some training to do with the audience. We still have to kind of open their eyes to the importance of pageantry. But I feel like in Mexico now more than ever, we're seeing such a huge community kind of like align and get hand in hand with Mexico and its pageantry and the importance of pageantry because a lot of families and a lot of girls especially they have these huge amazing dreams but sometimes because of the economic status or your
Yes.
limited resources you're not really able to get that full breakthrough and that's what pageantry really allows the girls to do. It gives them that platform to kind of get through that door.
That's a very interesting thought that you raised because if you come to think about it, pageantry definitely is a platform for something else, something greater, maybe something that would financially, make everything better for you and your family. But at the same time, there is a discussion, especially with high stakes pageantry, like the nationals, like Mexicana Universal, or in our case,
Uh-huh.
Miss Universe Philippines or Binibining Pilipinas. These pageants, they don't come in cheap, so you really have to shell out money for this. So is this somewhat the price of getting a bigger platform and maybe catching a bigger fish financially or maybe for your career?
I feel like it goes more hand in hand with like the opportunities that you get. Like as far
Uh-huh.
as for me, from a young age, I knew that I wanted to dive into the performing arts industry. And so
Mm-hmm.
I knew that one of the things that this platform also will be able to provide me is like the exposure and the opportunities to expand in that area. But as well as like with another cause that's near and dear to my heart, which is my campaign. It's from a young age. I also started helping the local communities. My family and I used to gather donations and gently used clothing, and we used to cross over to Mexico and distribute them. So I knew that that was part of my purpose in this life. That was part of my plan or my why I was here. And I know that pageantry also gives you the amazing platform to help elevate your campaign or your organization.
Pamela, prior to 2018, prior to competing at Miss Global, did you join other pageants either in Mexico or in the US?
So my mom introduced me to pageantry when I was only six
Okay,
months old.
like all of us,
Yes,
almost.
6 months old. And then from then on, I believe I didn't compete until I was 15 at a local pageant. And that was actually the first time that I kind of faced discrimination up to a certain extent because, where I was from, a lot of people started telling once they found out that I wanted to compete in a pageant, a lot of people started telling my mom, Pam's not going to win because she doesn't have the blue eyes, the blonde hair, and the really light skin. And I remember instead of using that as something to kind of limit me and kind of hold me back, I used it to impulse me. And I went on and to win that local pageant. And from then on, I mean, I was kind of modeling and signed officially. So I was modeling full time and also trying to finish my studies. And I believe I joined Miss Texas Global at
Okay,
19. I won
okay.
that one. Then the following year, I went for Miss Global USA, won that one. And then that was like 6 months before I went to Philippines.
You went to the Philippines. Okay,
Mhm.
so there is a question here from judgmental Judge Juday. I'm going to translate it, but
Okay.
basically she is asking who you are. So right off the bat, of course, you are now known to us as a contestant of Mexicana Universal. But Please give us more of an idea. Because I read your bio a little bit, you're
Uh-huh.
multi hyphenated. Please talk to us a little bit more about this so that judgmental Judge Juday won't be as judgmental anymore.
Please don't be. um, I mean, I love anything outdoors. I'm such a nature person. I love fishing, hiking, anything that has to do with the outdoors. I'm so happy there, especially with animals. Like, I love spending time with the horse back at my family's ranch. And we have this huge tortoise that weighs like about 200 pounds, maybe.
Don't
And
get
also
me
with
started
my
with the
dog.
pets
Yeah.
and the animals.
I know, but I mean, another side to me is, I've also been a professional model for so many years, not
Mhm.
only nationally, but internationally. And I'm a marketing director, philanthropist, activist. So the list goes on, but I'm very, very blessed to have the opportunities and the achievements that I have had today.
Wow. Because if you have all of these things under your belt, how are you able to squeeze in training and preparation? For those of you guys who are just joining us now, Pamela Lee Urbino, she is a contestant at Mexicana Universal. So this is our equivalent of Miss Universe Philippines. But Pam, you are representing the USA. Please tell us more about this.
Uh-huh. So, it's something that Lupita Jones had been trying to get approved by the Miss Universe organization for so many years. And there was
Mhm.
always just a huge discussion because, in the US, they have Miss USA. But one of the things that she really kind of highlighted to the organization is that the Mexicanos, Mexicans, form such a huge part of the US. I mean,
Yes.
not only from the 18% that the Latinos form here in the US, but from that 18%, 63% are Mexican. So we, of course, have a huge say in, the economy and the day-to-day life here. And so I think it was about time that we kind of got recognized and we got the right recognition from the organization and as well as from Mexico, right? To kind of allow us to expand more and show and highlight the Mexican community in the US. So it got approved, and this was the first year that they did it, and I was blessed enough to snatch that title. But I'm so thankful for it. I felt like every life experience that I've had prior to this has kind of prepared me in a way for this role because it is such a huge responsibility being the first ever to make history, to represent the Mexican community, and you kind of have to pave the way for the upcoming generations.
So Pam, when you got the representation for USA, was this because you got appointed or did you have to go through another pageant for that?
Yeah, so we actually had the pageant in Cancun, Mexico on December 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So guys, she competed fair and square for this. Um,
Yeah.
right? So I was just wondering because you competed in local pageants in the USA before you came to Manila to compete because that's already an international pageant.
Yes.
Was this always the plan to go for a Miss Universe representation eventually? Or did this just, magically happen for you this year?
Well, since I was introduced to like the importance of like helping one another, again from like that story that I told you about me and my family going to
Yeah.
donate these donations in Mexico, I knew that part of my life plan or purpose was to kind of step into that leadership role, right? To be
Okay.
somebody to be able to elevate the community voice, to be able to, allow them to have access to resources that not many people have access to. So I knew that, especially seeing like with the Miss Universe organization, I was like, wow, what is this? You're empowering the woman, but yet you're also
Mhm.
allowing her to kind of speak on what she's passionate about and giving her a platform to help her local community, to help her country. And so I
Yeah.
felt like it was the right match for me. From then on, I felt like I really dedicated the rest of my life to kind of helping me get prepared for this very moment.
But gunning for Miss Universe representation, a lot of people, especially in the Philippine setting, it's super cutthroat. Um,
Yes, I've
we don't
seen
really
that.
get to, you've experienced it, but they say that it's even more competitive for the girls here when they compete with one another than when they go to these international pageants. So especially this year, it seems like a bloodbath for everybody. We don't always get the opportunity to talk to someone from the Latin community. And I
Mm-hmm.
always want a little bit of an idea
Uh-huh.
on how the mindset works. I mean, of course, we have an idea on how Mexicans are when it comes to beauty pageants, but how are they exactly coming from a Mexican
Uh-huh.
perspective?
I mean, I feel like each one views it differently. I am a very analytical person. I think that's kind of like the business side in me, especially being like a marketing director. I used to be into the analytics, into statistics of what was going right, what was, kind of targeting the right audience. And so I'm a person that I like to analyze, prepare, and execute. And to me, it's like I'm so passionate about this that I pour my heart, my soul, my time, everything into it. But I feel like one of the things that also separates us from everybody else, but I think the Filipinos kind of are the same with us in this, is that we're very passionate, very, very
Mhm.
passionate about pageantry. And, sadly enough, I feel like sometimes we tend to cross the line, especially the fans on social media. How you said right
Oh,
now, like
yeah,
Miss Universe Philippines is such a
sure.
cutthroat time right now. And it's kind of like,
Sure.
you tend to see that the fans will go overboard and start, maybe bashing some of the other girls because they have a favorite. But we have to really kind of take a step back and realize that these girls are reading the comments. These girls are seeing what is being said
Yes.
about them. And,
Mhm.
we just have to be very protective of them and their mental health because at the end of the day, they're human just like us.
It's interesting that you mentioned this because I've I manage a page apart from what I do here on
Uh-huh.
YouTube. I manage a page on beauty pageants. It's called Titas of Pageantry, and it's been around for quite some time. So I've
Mm-hmm.
had my fair share of either being in the center of bullying or maybe someone who's just trying to expose a bully on social media. So
Yeah.
I was just wondering because I checked on other materials about you. Your
Uh-huh.
representation seems like a big deal because this is
Yes.
the first time. Did you get a lot of flack? Because I did remember there was this one candidate from Puerto Rico, Madison Barrios.
Madison, yes.
Yeah, Madison, like everybody loved her, but I remember there was some talk on some Puerto Ricans not being very happy because she couldn't speak the language fluently or flawlessly. But what
Uh-huh.
about you? Since this is a first representation for USA, did you get your
Yeah.
fair share of like bashing or trolling?
Yes, Tita. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to share with you about Madison was that I felt like Madison was kind of an omen to me, or maybe a sign from the
Okay.
universe, because um, in February of 2020, I was in a moment in my life where I felt like I didn't have direction. I had, been a year or something since I had just came back from Philippines. Everything had been kind of slow since then. I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back to pageantry just
Okay.
because I knew that if I wanted to come back, I would have to be it would be the right moment, the right time, and I would be overall ready. But I felt like my life didn't have a clear direction of like a yes or a no, or take this step and go here, go there. And so I remember it was February of 2020, 1 month before COVID. I get invited to this dinner in New York. And I had
Okay.
just arrived from the airport. So I'm in a bun, no makeup, super, super casual.
Airport
And
style.
airport style, And so I arrived to this dinner. To my surprise, Madison Berrios was there looking
Wow.
fabulous. She had just came back from Miss Universe, placed first runner up. Miss Grand Cuba was there, and all these like amazing models and like international queens. And
Beautiful
so
people.
I just show up and I'm just like, well, I clearly didn't get the memo to what I was supposed to look like. But in this dinner, I remember kind of like, one person tends to project what they feel inside. And like I mentioned, in that moment, I felt like I was empty. I felt like I wasn't aligned with my purpose in that moment. So I was projecting what I was feeling. I wasn't really having interactive conversations with everybody. I was kind of more of like in my own little bubble. But I remember in that moment, in that dinner, I don't know if you're very religious or spiritual. I am. And I
Okay.
started praying. And I was like, God, my angels, the universe, somebody. I was like, please just send me one more sign to see what it
Sign.
is that I need to do. Yes, I'm in New York City. I'm, trying to fight for my dreams, and but I need a direction. I need to know what's the next step for me. And 3 seconds later, this man comes up from the table and he taps me on my shoulder and he says that he wants to speak to me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I either said or did something wrong. They're about to kick me out, or they're about to say, you're wearing the wrong dress code, girl. You gotta go home. And so then we go up to the corner of the room and he's speaking to me. And surprisingly, he's Kenny Lede. He's now my life coach and he's been by my side ever
Okay.
since. And he's told me, he's like, Pam, I know who you are. I know you just came from Philippines. And, I just want to let you know when you're ready to take the next step. Because by then there was already some rumors that I wanted to go to Mexico. This is before USA. And he told me, he's like, if you want to take the chance to go to Mexico, just know that I'm here to prepare you. I'm here to help you out and whatever you need. Keep in mind, this is one of the most prestigious life coaches, mentors that you can get access
Okay.
to. So in that moment, I was like, wow, this is my sign. But
That's a
what
huge sign.
I know, but what kind of came to the realization is Madison Berrios was there too. Madison Berrios was a USA, maybe born and raised, that went to Puerto Rico, fought
Okay.
for her country, went on to place at Miss Universe, almost the one the Miss Universe crown. In a way, all of that kind of ties together because in that dinner, it wasn't only the sign and the confirmation that I needed, but it was kind of like a dash of salt, like, yes, but look at maybe the journey that you're about to go through. So, months later, I remember I didn't hear back from them. I didn't hear back from anybody. COVID happened. Everything was put on pause. And
Right.
but I really used the whole COVID time to kind of work on myself. I got introduced to Reiki. I started diving into the Reiki meditations, then went on to quantum mechanics, then family constellations. It was all doing like the inner purging, inner work. And 8 months later, I received the call to be designated as Mexicana Universal New York. By then, I still didn't even know if the USA one was going to happen because my thought and original plan was I'm going to go back to my roots
To
and I'm going
Mexico.
to go back to Mexico. But once this
Mhm.
was presented to me, honestly, in the beginning, I was kind of like, do I sign? Well, how are people going to take this? Mexicana Universal New York. I wasn't kind of sure, but I was like, it's a sign from the universe. It's all kind of like life's like a puzzle game, right? And some pieces have to rearrange, some pieces have to move so new pieces can come and fit in. And I felt like all of that was just part of my preparation while I was here. And then kind of going back to base to speaking about did I face discrimination? Oh yes, in the beginning, so many people didn't believe in Mexicana Universal USA. So many people were like, but you're not even Mexican. And what is USA? Mexico's Mexico and USA is USA. And you're just here to discriminate. And it's like, guys, I am the fruit of immigrant parents who had to sacrifice and leave everything behind in order to provide me and my siblings a better life and better opportunities. But just as like them, I also went through the discrimination, people
Okay.
not seeing that you were capable enough to do it. So it's like I've been fighting 24 years of my life to kind of always have to win that right job, win that right title, and kind of always having to show to people and prove to people the kind of quality that us Mexicanos are. We're very hardworking people. We're
Yeah.
passionate. We never ask for anything. We always, do the right thing to earn what it is that we want. And so it's been kind of like a battle in the beginning, kind of having to, I made it part of my purpose to make them fall in love with me and kind of show them what is the purpose of this. And, Mexicana Universal USA is a revolution of unity. It's like breaking those barriers, eliminating those labels. And it's like, it's now about time to kind of collide with our sister country.
True. You know what?
Yeah.
It's a great perspective coming from you because this is very different from our
Yeah.
experience. The Filipinos were all over the world. We always say that even if you host a pageant in the most remote location, there will
Mm-hmm.
be Filipinos cheering for their girl
Mm-hmm.
or anywhere else. So we are everywhere. Now, the concept of a Filipino community and a woman representing that Filipino community from abroad, this is not something new to us. This is something that
Yeah.
we're used to. So I'm hearing you and I'm trying to compare some of the candidates that we've had who had represented Filipino communities from other countries. And I think the only struggle that I could share was that we didn't think that they were Filipino enough, the same way
Yeah.
that you were. experiencing. But the only difference is that the idea of representation is nothing new to us.
Mhm.
So I'm a little surprised because Mexico is, of course, a pageant country, and there have been so many candidates who I know would travel back and forth the USA and Mexico. So it's
Uh-huh.
not really supposed to be a big deal. And right now it is a big deal.
Yeah. You
W-
know,
What,
it
yeah,
oh, sorry. It's kind
yeah,
of
go
like,
ahead.
and I always kind of bring this up to light. Whenever we face something that we've never faced before, we go through a transition of uncomfortableness, right? So people
Hmm.
got very uncomfortable with the idea of
Yes.
Mexicana Universal USA because it's never been done before. But I'm like, I'm up for the job and I will be paving the way for the future generations. It's fine.
What are their requirements though? Like, what are their requirements from their beauty queens? Like, for example, here in the Philippines,
Uh-huh.
of course, it can't be helped when we have biracial girls representing us or trying to compete for the nationals, but sometimes we can't help but say, ooh, I hope she dyes her hair a little darker, or ooh, I hope she gets a little bit tanner, or ooh, I hope she speaks the language or maybe understands the humor. What are some of the perceived expectations of you?
I feel like I'm kind of bringing a different look to it, just because in Mexico, as far as like the queens that I've seen that would win every year, very elegant, clean, poised, like just amazing women. But yet they're very different in their own way, as in like their characteristics, their purpose, like even the way that they express themselves. You can really tell that each one of them has like their own personality really instilled in them. So I love that because Mexicana Universal USA, it kind of keeps you on your toes every year. It's kind of like, oh, we don't know, what they're going for maybe this year. What is the vision? Because each girl has just been so different. Like one year, for example, maybe they'll have more of like the quieter one, but as soon as she speaks, as soon as she opens her mouth, it's like she'll just overtake you with her communication skills. And then maybe, for example, Andrea Mesa, just so happy, fun,
Bubbly.
bubbly and laughing all the time. But yet, again, her communication was on point. Deborah, sweet, beautiful girl. I mean, she reminds me of like
She's a
a doll,
princess
a doll of like the 1950s. She's so beautiful, right?
with the
Yes,
eyes, right?
yes, yes, yes. But again, as soon as she like opens her mouth, it's a sweet communication. It kind of like pulls you in. So each girl has been so different. And I feel like as for me, I kind of bring in like a little different spice, kind of like since I've been in Philippines, I've traveled internationally, I've really wanted to get each piece from every place that I've been to and bring it to Mexico. Just like how I take Mexico with me to every platform that I've been on, nationally, internationally, wherever it is. I also want to take everything that I've cultivated, every single culture, what they've taught me, and take it with me in Mexico. And I feel like it will also be a great chance for all of you to see it through my wardrobe when I get to Mexicana Universal.
There you
Yeah.
go. The wardrobe talk has become so huge, for the past couple of years. Of course, we have the
Yes.
Thai delegation wherein they have everything that's just so fully documented. And then we have the Filipinos coming in with all their couture dresses, bespoke pieces, and then you also have the European girls, of course, and with the branded label. So
Yes.
wardrobe is really very competitive. But what about
Yeah.
you, Pam? Are you doing all of your preparations in the US, or are you somehow training or, jetting back and forth US to Mexico?
So after winning Mexicana Universal USA, around that time, I was already getting ready to say bye to New York. I felt like my time was
Hmm.
overdue there. And I felt, I kind of served my purpose there. I elevated my community there. And I was like, okay, we have to, move on to the next thing. I'm kind of like a dreamer in that sense. I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. I have so many goals and dreams. And so winning Mexicana Universal USA, I did tend to now be in Mexico more full time.
Okay.
But I do occasionally go to the US because my director's in the US. And as far as like, for example, might have an upcoming short New York trip because I have to go pick up wardrobe in New York from some stylists. I've been in the US oftentimes to see my family. I do some training there. Oftentimes, I'll probably make a stop in like Houston because I have some friends who own like some spa services that they offer me
Okay.
for free as kind of like a sponsored. I also
Okay.
got my new smile done there as well. So, it's kind of like a
The
little, like
perks.
the pearlies, yes. It's kind of like a little balance, right? But most of my time, I've really spent it more like in Mexico. But it's been amazing, to kind of go back to my childhood because even when I was younger, my life was always split between Mexico and the US. That's why to me,
Okay.
it's like, this
That's
is nothing new. Yes, this
it's
is what I've lived.
common.
It's common, yeah. And so,
It's
and
no big
actually,
deal.
what a lot of people don't know is my first language was Spanish. I didn't learn English
Okay.
until I was in second grade.
Are you still fluent with Spanish? Because I'm
Claro
checking
que
some of the
sí.
yan na pala guys. Because a lot of the comments here are still a little skeptical.
Uh-huh.
You're Yeah, because you're pretty flawless with your English. So, of course, we
Uh-huh.
have some folks here who are thinking, is this another version of someone growing up in the US and trying to wiggle her way back to?
Yeah.
So, no, you can
No.
definitely speak the
Yes,
language.
and to make them feel more easy. Sorry, I don't have my stylist with me, but my hair is kind of getting in the way. So 7 in the morning, girl, give me a break.
That's
No,
coffee.
that's coffee, yes. So,
Coffee.
to hopefully make them at ease, my mother was very strict with me. I remember,
Okay.
especially the first few years of my life, it was nothing but Spanish in my household. And, having my grandmother there and everything, it was just Spanish. And, the tortillas and everything was like Mexico, but in the
Yeah.
US. And I remember whenever I started school, and my parents decided to kind of give me the transition of going into bilingual classes and then furthering on to just English because we also have to recognize the importance of being bilingual. It helps you so much, especially in your professional career. And I remember, especially when I was like in middle school, I used to come home and I'd be like, Mom, this and this, communicating with her in English. And she'd be like,
In
todo
English.
en español. She'd be like, whatever you just told me, repeat it exactly in
Okay.
Spanish. And then I'll do it. But obviously by then I'll probably, say a word wrong or something because you're speaking English 24/7, right? And she'd be
Okay.
like, no, do it again until you communicate right. Because part of her importance in this was that she never wanted me to lose touch with my Spanish speaking. With whenever I would go back to Mexico, maybe be with my family, she never wanted me to be like, oh, I don't know how to say that word, or maybe I would say it funny, or to her it was no. Tú eres mexicana, and then you can speak English secondly, but first Spanish.
I like the mindset of your mother because I also come from a family wherein we've married into other races and other
Mm-hmm.
ethnicities, and I remember being the only one there taking care of my nephews and nieces and
Uh-huh.
speaking to them in English, speaking to them in our local language, and then trying to help them out with their third language, maybe Serbian or
Yeah.
Japanese or whatever, because I do have a
Uh-huh.
big family. But the
Whoa.
thing is, I know, but I particularly remember this nephew of mine who at one point stopped speaking altogether because he got so confused with all of the languages that he was learning. So I think the therapist told him or the family to just pick a language for one.
Oh.
So, well, I definitely understand the struggle, but I do like the mindset of your mother because if you go back to like Mexico or maybe the province in our setup and you have your cousins speaking the local language, I mean, that's going to be so sad if you can't keep up, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like you come on, you can't lose touch with your roots. Like I've
right.
seen some of that in the US where people from different places will kind of, get settled in the US, and after a few years they kind of tend to forget maybe where they come from. And I'm just not saying Mexicanos, I'm saying every type of like culture out there. And it's just a little bit sad because I'm so proud of my culture. I'm like, I'm Mexicana, you know, I love my food, I love my country, I love
Hello, you're
everything
in
that we have to.
orange.
Yes, I'm like, we're bright people, we're passionate, like there's so much to us, So I always try to like highlight that. And
Yeah.
it's just sad to see people that kind of get into this mindset that maybe something happened, that they're kind of being placed more in a box, being more held back. Maybe they also went through maybe some type of discrimination. That's why they're like that. But to me, I'm like, listen, I love being Mexicana and I'm so proud to be Mexicana. And I represented my roots like at an international base, through modeling or pageantry. And I'm like, this is, I'm never going to be ashamed of where I come from or what I do. I'm not by all means like, from a huge like family descent, a very prestigious. No, we're humble people. We've always worked, hard to get what we want. And no, I'm never
Right,
going to be
right.
ashamed of where I come from.
Let's shift a little bit to Mexicana Universal.
Uh-huh.
When will this pageant take place and how many contestants are competing?
So there were 32, I believe. Maybe there might be 31, but I'm still number 33.
Okay.
And the finale will be in San Luis Potosí on May 22nd, but I actually depart
Mm.
April 30th. It's a 21 to 22-day concentration for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like the same way here, like maybe a
Oh.
2 week, 3 week fun festivities. But is everything normal in Mexico? Because here, this is the first time we're actually experiencing
Mm-hmm.
some degree of normalcy. We're a little
Mm-hmm.
late with all of the COVID things happening, but this is our
Sí,
first
sí.
time to go back to pageantry with a live show. But what about in Mexico? Is everything
Yes.
in order?
So, last year they designated Deborah, right? This
Mm-hmm.
year it will be the first year after Andrea Mesa, which Andrea Mesa had the COVID pageant since
Right.
2020. That we're kind of doing in-person activities and where
Ah,
the public will be able to attend the
okay.
finale. Yeah, but no, I mean, one thing that I feel very comfortable with the organization is I got to be with them, and the rest of the USA girls also. Whenever we all competed in Cancun, we got to be with the Mexicana Universal organization, and I feel so comfortable with them because they take every requirement to make sure that we're fed, we're drinking water, we're
That's
comfortable. We
important.
have everything, and also the COVID requirements. There, we
Right,
get
right.
a COVID test. We make sure that we clean everything. They always have everybody kind of like always attend to us and aware that do you need anything? Are you safe? Do you feel comfortable? As far as even like we have one of our coaches that she's a psychologist, and she just makes you feel so welcome because she's like, hey, if there's anything going on, feel free to speak to me, to talk to me. We've had our own individual opportunity to kind of speak with her, to kind of like
Yeah.
grow in with each other. Yeah, so no, I feel very safe, but COVID requirements, I feel we're good on that. COVID test, everything clean, sanitized, we're good.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing these things. I mean, it's nice to also get to learn about how things work in the national pageantry scene of other countries, in this
Mm-hmm.
case, Mexico. Now, Mexican pageantry is something that we also, keenly check on.
Yeah.
Together with the other powerhouse countries such as Puerto Rico and, of course, Venezuela and Colombia. But just to compare the situation here, I want to learn more about the pageant fans in Mexico. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
are they treating Mexicana Universal as well as the winners of Mexicana Universal? Because our history goes back to 2010. In the
Uh-huh.
Philippines, we started our unbreakable streak of placing since 2010. And 2010, Jimena, of course, won Miss Universe. So if we compare the situation to the Philippines, wherein we have been placing consecutively up until last year, it's a little different from Mexico. We both have had two Miss Universe in the span, if that in that period. But with Mexico, there would be years that there would be representatives that wouldn't place at all. So what is the mindset now in the competition? Andrea Meza just won in 2019. Are you guys, or the pageant fans or the pageant community in Mexico, are you guys gunning for another crown, or just like the Philippines, are you guys trying to maintain your placement streak?
Well, as far as for me, I'm trying to win the Mexico so we can win the fourth crown for Mexico, you know? But
Yeah.
no, the Mexican fans are very supportive. They're like in everything, you know, and I love the fact that they try to help. Sometimes you'll get like little messages like, Pam, I came across this dress. I think it'd be perfect. And if it's not your style, just please take it in consideration. Like they care so much about how you
Involved.
feel, what you do. They try to involve themselves so much because, you know, there's nothing better than cheering on with your country. And, you know, I feel like, you know, it's one of our traits. We're very persistent, very perseverant. And even though we might not get that placement that year, we might not get the crown that year. But as far as to us, we're like, it's okay. Next year, we're going to come back and prepare even harder for that upcoming crown. So, you know, kind of Andrea Mesa winning was kind of like, wow, you know, being perseverant through so many years will pay off in the long run. Because sometimes, like, the placement or the crown doesn't define you, doesn't, you know, like add a value or make you more or less, right? It's more like the love and support of the people that you have behind you. So yeah, I feel like no, the Mexicanos they're very, very involved in
Pretty
everything.
cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool, because in the Philippines now we're getting a little nervous, like we're getting really nitpicky. This will be our
Yeah.
12th year, and if we choose a representative for Miss Universe, I'm pretty sure it's going to be so difficult for that representative, because we're going to watch her keenly like a hawk
Yeah.
because of its 12-year placement. But I want to know more about this mindset, because you delve into psychology, you delve into like a lighter existence in terms of like your mental headspace and things like that.
Uh-huh.
When you first competed internationally, either for top model or Miss Global back in the day, can you make a comparison about people being more involved in pageantry? Like, I just noticed that after the passing of Chesley Chris, all of us in the pageant community, we had to recalibrate how we think, how we treat each other, how we treat the candidates. Do you have you felt any shift in the way people would treat you, even if it's just on the social media level? Are we a lot kinder to each other these days?
I feel like, you know, especially me being the new kind of like girl in town, being the USA girl coming into Mexico, I've been already faced with so much, like it was just it hit me like a wave of good and bad comments, you know, when I won. But one of the things that I'm so thankful, and it's kind of like going back to my previous performances and to now me making an appearance again, is my whole mindset has changed, you know. I kind of like look back and be like, wow, you know, I know that Pam back then, but that is not the Pam now. Because, you know, the huge transformation that I got when I really dove in on, you know, how the mind works, the whole connecting of, you know, the connection of the mind, body, soul, and like the quantum mechanics and the physics and everything that has to do with that. There was a huge fascination of me understanding why it is the way that we are. You know, a human is acts on 93 to 97% of their habits. And so to me, I was like, well, if I want to see a change in the future, I have to reset some habits, instill
Right.
new habits, and really learn how the mind works. Now, I can come across anything and I won't react the same way that I reacted once. I might see a comment and it doesn't affect me now the way that it might have affected me then, because I am truly connected with my essence now. I know essence is my superpower. And more than ever, I have the right materials instilled in me on how to
Right.
not allow these outside forces kind of get to me. And that's why I say it's so important for me to kind of shine light on the importance of getting in touch with your mind, body, and soul, because you do tend to kind of build an armor around you. Not only do you heal, you connect with your true self, and you kind of get like this inner superpower that kind of protects you from anything outside. But as far as, yeah, the sad thing that we experienced with Chelsea was a
Mhm.
huge awakening to people, because again,
Right.
people often would just comment these bad things or bash that girl, put girls against each
True.
other. And it's like, hey, we're human, just like you. At the end of the day, we might see something and we're still not going to like it. At the end of the day, having X amount of followers or being a public figure does not make it any different than you. We eat the same, we sleep the same, and we go through the same things. So it doesn't give them any right to kind of like bash these girls online.
And sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little more difficult, especially when the
Yeah.
bashing is not even a lengthy rant, but just a really short one liner, like something that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any other ways to navigate your feelings around because it's
Uh-huh.
just so concrete. Like when they say you're ugly or you're fat, that's it. There's no other way to interpret that. So,
Yeah.
um, you probably took a little bit of more time to be more centered. So I want to talk about what you've been doing, like Reiki and um, the other practices and other
Mm-hmm.
causes that you have. Could you share this one to us? And
Yes.
like how um, easy or how useful are these things in dealing with something that's going back to a more normal state, with a little
Yeah.
bit of that fear that we might actually go back to that dark time during the
Yeah.
first few months of the pandemic.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, it is, I think some of the information, I mean, part of the information that I have, it is from those practices, but a lot of the other information that I get is I love reading. I'm kind of like a nerd in that sense. I love books. I
Okay.
feel like that's like a cheat code that we have in life. And so I read like Becoming Supernatural, The Power of Now, The Alchemist, all these different books, and I take in little information from there and then connected with the spiritual practices. So, Reiki actually got introduced in my life where I needed direction. I needed to do that inner healing. And when I went through those meditations, kind of start seeing like the transformation within me, I became so fascinated by it that it evoked something in me and it kind of woke me up like, hey, you might want to get certified in this, because the way that it's changing your life, you can change other people's life. They say once you change inside you, you start changing around you, things start
Okay.
changing around you. And I truly believe that that's like 100% real, because once I started changing habits of mine, thoughts of mine, purging
Right.
things out, oftentimes we tend to carry maybe something that happened to us as a child, maybe something that happened to you with your grandmother, with your mom, with your father, and then it is passed down to you. And a lot of people don't know this. That's where family constellations comes in. It's kind of like a
Okay.
lasso that gets you tied in. Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
karmic cycle in a way. And then as far as
Okay.
like quantum mechanics, it goes into like the law of attraction, what you put out, you get back. And it's just like it can be a whole chat about this because it's hours and hours of explanation. But what I wanted to say was there is much more than what meets the eye. There's so much more that you have to like dive into in order to reach your full potential. You have to start from the basics, do the inner work, purge everything out. If you really want to become that person that you've envisioned, do the inner work so you can reset and start stepping into that person. And through this whole transformation, one of the things that I say, because everybody says, oh, it must be easy, you just start meditating and your life gets better. No, when you do the inner purging, life in the universe will start bringing you lessons as tests, and you will either fail and you'll get introduced to that test or lesson again, or you'll pass it and you'll kind of move on to the next step. So many people have left my life. So many people
Okay.
that I thought that were family are no longer family, but now you kind of
Okay.
get this blindfold out of your face and you see maybe people's true intentions. Opportunities that I once prayed for, I now received with the understanding of, okay, I was prepared at X, Y, and Z, and now I see the alignment. It's like you get your intuition kind of like sparked on. It's just this whole fascinating world that once you dive into it, you start to understand life in a much more deeper and a better way.
Pam, that's very interesting for me, only because
Mm-hmm.
I want to throw in some questions for you on this
Yeah.
topic, but my interest in the connection of whatever the universe is, trying to tell me is
Uh huh.
through, interest with maybe horoscope, or maybe
Uh-huh.
um just serendipitous
Yes.
happenings all around me. I mean, as Filipinos as well, we have superstitions, we have things like this and that to connect the dots. But with
Uh-huh.
you, it does make more sense. For those who aren't very familiar, for those who are asking, could you give us a little bit of an explanation, or what is Reiki and what does it
Okay.
mean to be a master or to certify for that?
Yeah, so Reiki actually comes from Japan. Back in the day,
Mhm.
the samurais used to heal themselves with Reiki. So Reiki is energy healing. A lot of people can connect it to the chakras, right? For example, you have the crown, which connects a lot to your insight and intuition. You get to have like a perspective about that situation or that person before it even happens. You have your third eye, which also connects to that. And then, for example, we also have like your throat chakra. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of people that suffer from thyroidism or other problems is because an emotion has such a huge impact in your body that will then go on to proceed and precipitate into a disease or into a chronic illness, autoimmune illness.
Okay.
So that's where Reiki energy also comes to help. A lot of people that maybe have been quiet about a certain situation, don't get to fully speak on what their mind wants to speak, has a lot of problems with communicating, that would be focusing on the throat chakra as well as the heart. Maybe something happened that you've been caring for. Maybe you're going through grief, you're going through loss. So then that's where your heart chakra comes in. You have the solar, the sacral, the root chakra. Each one has a different purpose. And as far as like the Reiki, it comes to kind of like unblocking that. But each chakra has a specific like specialty that it has. You know, your confidence, your thinking, your
Okay.
roots. Um, and so back in the day when the samurais used to get injured, you would have like a master descent that would place their hands, and it's kind of like connecting with the universe energy, with the divine light, and your hands tend to get very warm because that's the master accessing the energy from the universe to heal you.
Oh,
Oftentimes, like I would kind of get like injured, right? For example, I used to play soccer, and my left knee would sometimes swell up. And now that I got introduced to Reiki, I would sometimes, you know, through my meditation, just place my hands, and people don't know how much power their mind has. So
right,
I used to
right.
place my hands and imagine like just like that energy flowing through their healing. And I mean, if the samurais did it back in the day, why not we move on to that
Why
medicine
not?
and bring it onto today's world? And you know, one of the amazing documents that I really recommend for people to see is called Heal. Even Dr. Joe Dispenza makes an appearance there because it kind of brings into light all these world renowned doctors with certifications in like, you know, medicine, in science medicine, that now have kind of combined the spiritual practices to really help people. Maybe, you know, even Reiki in Los Angeles is being introduced to cancer patients. I've even been
Okay.
invited to go give sessions to cancer
Mhm.
patients because the emotional state can play 75% of your healing purpose. So it goes much
Super.
into like a deeper sense into it than we can even imagine.
I'm just gonna read some of the
Yeah.
comments here because it's really very interesting. I have a few folks here who are really listening to you intently. They're very impressed with the way you have been communicating, but it's really very
7
interesting
in the morning
because
with coffee. I'm trying. I'm trying. It's been
hustling.
a
But I
long
think
weekend.
you're doing a
Thank you.
great job because it's just so funny what I'm reading. You're talking about chakras and healing, and you're talking about the samurais in Japan, which I know absolutely has something to do with the mind, the way people suddenly have these illnesses because of stress, not
Yes.
because of like other things. But these are very interesting because some of these viewers are trying to grasp
Uh-huh.
Reiki, and this one just dropped the reference of Naruto. I don't know if
Oh
you're
yes,
familiar, but
yes, I
Naruto
used
is
to watch. So
it's an anime.
yeah,
There's
so
another one from Night Thrower
uh-huh.
about, so it's really nice that
Yeah,
these things you might think that these are really childish, but they're actually
yeah.
like practical and
Western medicine.
theoretical. True, true.
Yeah.
So it's
Like
nice.
for
You're
example, yeah, like the monks, you know, they do a lot of spiritual practices. And, you know, once you kind of like expand your horizon and you go further in there, you see that a lot of the cultures outside of the US put into practice similar things as Reiki. So I feel like maybe it's just something that we're barely kind of like untapping or uncovering, but it's actually been in the medicine industry for so many years.
Right. And I like the idea of, tapping the mind because
Yeah.
when it comes to healing, when it comes to looking for um like cures, we tend to go into exploitation of plants, maybe animals as
Mm-hmm.
well. But in this case, the only, I don't know, I feel like the only investment really is your time and your mind. So I think that it's a really promising way to apply, especially in
Mm-hmm.
pageantry. It can get really frantic. Has these things been helping you in terms of being
Oh,
centered?
yes, 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 1,000%. I believe, the strongest and the best tool that we have is our mind. Once you take charge and you have the right power to control your mind, you're limitless to everything. You're able to change the way you perceive things. You're able to change the way you interact, the way you communicate, the way you execute things. So I feel like my mind is my strongest and powerful tool. I feel like everybody's is, right? But the way that I've been like investing so much, not only in the spiritually, but also like in the knowledge that I'm gaining from the books that I'm reading, from the way that I'm getting certified, from the studies, from also being like in the business industry, I really feel like I'm really just training my mind to just try to be the best. And I feel like, people have to really take importance in that because it's so, so important. Our mind is so powerful. It can tend to control us based on our emotions, but we have to have power to control our mind so our emotions won't control us and our mind will.
Well, listening to you, of course, you already have the communication skills as well as the mental and emotional maturity to really go the extra mile in pageantry. But you are competing at Mexicana Universal, and this is under the tutelage, of course, of the great Lupita Jones.
Yes.
So how was it like interacting with Lupita Jones? Because from our end, from the observer's end, she
Uh-huh.
already now has like a reputation that we know of her. She's very decisive. She really fights for what she believes in, and if I may, this was a little different from how I pictured her when I was a lot younger, when she was Miss Universe and she had her hair pulled back and she would look really, really pretty in that really small face. But now it's a different persona altogether. How is it like dealing with a
Mm-hmm.
Lupita Jones?
So I often get this question a lot because I feel like everybody has a different perception of her, but really getting to know her and spending time with her, one of the things that I'll say, that woman is like, I at least strive to be half of her, half of my mother as well. Like
Okay, so that's the
because
peg.
she walks in and it's not just her physical beauty. I'm talking about she's physically just gorgeous. And she still wears her brand like that, slick back, just very
Mm-hmm.
classy. But her essence, her presence, it's just like it really takes the breath away from the room. And a lot of people might hear things here and there, but when I say that that is one of the most intellectual, overall cultivated culture woman you'll ever meet, I 100% mean it. She's so intelligent. She's so educated in every single topic, and but yet she's still very heartwarming. From the very beginning, we knew that Mexicana Universal USA was going to be a different like entryway into Mexico, but she really made me feel so welcoming and warm. And she was like, "Hey, it's not just going to be you going through it; it's going to be me too. It's going to be a ride together, and it's kind of like our pathway to kind of like making new pathways for the future generations." She's somebody who I've taken advice from. She's somebody who I look up to. And like I said, she's somebody who I hopefully one day in the future I get to be like that, former Miss Universe and still, at her day and age, be somebody with such huge impact. But she's also very easygoing. Trust me. She's like laughter, she's very like understanding of us. Yeah, she's just amazing.
That is amazing. Have you met all of the Miss Universe winners of Mexico?
No, but I did hear that at the pageant, Andrea Mesa and Jimena Navarrete were going to be there. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Soon.
amazing. That's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. So, um, going back to your pageant preparation,
Mhm.
for those of you guys who just tuned in, who need a little bit of a summary, we have Pamela Lee Urbino. She will be competing at um, Mexicana Universal. She
The
is
sun's already out.
representing
Sorry.
the USA. All right. And then if she wins this, she will, of course, be the representative of Mexico at Miss Universe. So this is going to happen in May. So going back, have you met or have you met in person or maybe virtually the other contestants?
Virtually, yes. And then also we have a group chat where we're like very active on. But
Okay.
during my crowning in Cancun, I met Miss Quintana Roo, and I believe it was Quintana Roo, and I'm not sure if there was somebody else. No, I believe it was just her. Very, very loving girl, very supportive. She was so happy to meet me. I was like, "Hey, sister!" So it was amazing. But no, virtually we have meetings with the organization and with the girls, and we're all usually through Zoom and like chatting it up. And what are you doing? And hey, are you excited for this? We were actually planning a girls' trip, but
Okay.
due to each one of us traveling and preparation, our schedules didn't really align because again, it's 31, 32, now 33 girls. It's kind of hard to all coordinate on the same schedule, but hopefully after the pageant, maybe we'll have a sister queen trip.
Most probably, as
Yeah.
with all the other girls,
Yeah.
just after the pageant, they usually like group together and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but what about like all of the other preparations, like your pasarela, your wardrobe? Is everything in order? And what are the areas that you really need to work on? We want to understand because we feel like this is going
Yeah.
to be in Mexico, it's Latin America, maybe it's all different, ball game altogether. But how are
Yeah.
the physical preparations?
Well, I mean, I feel like my preparation has been ongoing for such a long time because I signed with as Mexicana Universal USA back in late 2020. So all of
Okay, it's been
2021 and then now continuing on. Yeah, and even before that, I still take in everything that I've kind of gained throughout my past pageant experience and also combining it with my new experience. And fun fact, speaking of pasarela, when I was in Philippines, I took classes with Mami G
I
from for KF Crown and Country. Mommy G, I love, love, love. That's somebody who I consider like family. And so I still take in, tips from everything that I was taught over there. Kind of bring some Filipino
well,
spice.
exactly. And if you say KF, most of the folks who are watching here understand that
Yeah.
KF is known for their pasarela and how
Yes.
cleanly they train the girls to move their hips. So if you're
Yeah.
bringing a little bit of the Philippines to Mexicana Universal, then we are happy to contribute to that little magic. But I'm pretty sure
Yes.
that you're gonna do so well because of
Yeah.
course prior to this I checked on you. I think all of us have been using the same photo of you for the thumbnail. That's an amazing
My newest
headshot.
headshot. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I just want
And so
to, yeah,
uh Oh,
go ahead, go
sorry.
ahead.
But so also one of the things that I wanted to say is I'm a very strategic person. I think this is my marketing side
Okay.
because I will often give out hints or eggshells, or like little plants, little eggs here and there and see if people will pick up on it. Because in the end, maybe during Mexicana Universal or maybe during the final performance, certain things that I've done or put out or said or worn, whatever it may be, will all make sense. So I like to portray a message through my wardrobe, through something that I'm doing. And as far as like my preparation, for example, a lot of people want to say, oh, I want to see your pasarela video, send us this, or, a video of that. I'm all about work in silence and let your success speak for you. Because
Very
I'm a huge believer. I
nice.
won't show every single powerful tool that I have until I'm in the competition. There's only so much Pam I can show you because I'm saving everything till I get there, you know?
You know, Pam, who has the same style when it comes to
Who?
preparation?
Who?
That's very Catriona Gray when she was
Oh,
competing here in the
I love
Philippines.
her. Love her.
Yeah,
One of my
she has
inspirations,
the
actually.
same, right?
Yeah.
So, um, very interesting. Pam, I'm not gonna take up so much of your time anymore, but I want to take in some questions before I
Uh-huh.
let you go because
Okay.
there are 96 of us watching right now, so I'm sure they have
Hi.
a thing or two to say. I want to acknowledge the presence of Bobby Blas. He's a regular here. Hello,
Hi,
Bobby. Good
Bobby.
evening.
¿Cómo
All right.
estás?
I'm going to translate this to you. This one is from Oriental Josa. She says that you look a little bit Pinay and you look like a younger version of J Lo.
Thank
There.
you. Gracias. So
Gracias.
when I was in Philippines, a lot of people used to say that I had a little like a Filipino in me. And I was like,
Right.
look, I'm not, but I will say I am. Don't worry, I got you. And then now people are like, oh, you have a J-Lo resemblance. I'm like, listen, I did live in the Bronx for a while when I was barely
Maybe
making my
that's it.
when I was barely making my way to New York, you know, when times were rough in the beginning. And maybe it's that Latin spice, you know, but I'll stick to the Bronx story so we can feel more connected.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the Bronx magic.
Maybe it's the Bronx
Jenny
magic.
from the
Yeah.
block.
Yeah. Pam
All
from the
right.
block.
True. Now, the real McCoy is saying give her the 2022 crown of Miss Universe. No other countries. Just skip this year. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank
Lar
you.
1896 is saying she looks stunning.
Gracias. At 7 in the morning, I try.
All right. Yeah, and that's a suit at 7 in the morning.
Thank you. I love suits, and I think I love fashion. My mom's like that, and then also being like in New York, and then being internationally to so many different places. I love fashion. It's like a way that as soon as you enter the room, yes, I want you to feel my essence, but I want you to also see what I'm wearing. What am I trying to portray that day? And that's why I also say keep an eye out for whenever I'm in Mexicana Universal because I don't know, you might see some Filipino resemblances in there.
Wow.
Uh,
We love that. I
Absolutely.
remember Andrea Meza, when she was competing at Miss Universe for the pre-pageant activity, she wore a Philippine terno and we went nuts. Like we went super crazy because that's like our
Yeah.
culture and we're
Yeah.
like family. Miss
Yeah.
Mexico. So
Yeah.
we will look forward to this, Pam.
Yeah.
I know that you will have a lot of other interviews lined up for you. Linnell has been working very hard on this, and as much as I want to take up your time and learn more about you, I'm
We
going
can
to
chat
leave that,
later.
yes, a little bit mysterious for everyone else. But
Yeah.
um, One Piece fan is asking, what about the final show of Mexicana Universal? How are we going to catch this? Is it going to be on YouTube or any other platforms?
I don't want to say anything that's wrong, but I believe Mexicana Universal will probably be live through YouTube or maybe Facebook, as well as they were with the Mexicana Universal USA. I believe there might be two TV networks there, if I'm not mistaken. But I'd be more than happy to share more information through my personal Instagram, or maybe Tita, I can also send you information so we can kind of like
Yes,
allow people to know
please.
because I do know that one of the TV networks is confirmed. They're just trying to get the other one, but maybe for legal reasons, I don't want to say it on here, and then for
Okay,
them not
I
to sign
see.
off on it. Yeah, but Mexicana Universal USA. I mean, Mexicana Universal will be able to be seen wherever.
Maraming salamat. Gracias, gracias,
Salamat po.
gracias. Salamat. Thank you so much, Riel McCoy. Uh, I just want to really thank you for wait a minute for taking the
Mhm.
time to chat with me. I know we had to reschedule because when I was
Yeah.
arranging this with Linel, I did not realize that we were going to be in the middle of Holy Week, and we come from
Yeah.
these two countries, the
Yes.
love of Easter. So yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can take in one more question here. Oh, this one is a very interesting question. I
Hmm.
don't know if people have asked this. Night Thrower is asking, hypothetically, if you don't win Miss Mexico Universe, will you join Miss USA? Is this something that you're even considering?
No, after when I came home from Miss Global, there was a lot of offers and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
invitations to go through like at least Miss Texas USA. But I thought about it and I said, no, thank you, but no, because I'm a person that I've been so connected with my roots and my culture that the only right way in my heart would be to represent Mexico before the universe. So no, I actually said this is my last run. I'm hanging up the pageant heels after Miss Universe Mexico.
How
I
old
felt
are
like
you, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
just turned 24.
Nakakaloka. She's only 24 and she's already thinking
Yeah,
that this is
no,
her last.
yeah, but I kind of like seen it from like a different perspective. I have
Okay.
a huge purpose to fill, a huge like message that I want to bring to Mexicana Universal and to Miss Universe, and I also want to be maybe the new era of the follow up of Miss India. We kind of got introduced a little bit with Miss India through the power of the aura on stage, right? To me, it's a revolution of unity. It's the representation of eliminating those barriers, eliminating those labels, kind of like eliminating those limits to that are often placed in us that will have like a human be placed in a box, right? But also bringing light to a much more deeper sense, which is the whole spiritual universe calling you, a different message, a more healing. Maybe me as the next Miss Universe 2022 will be a healing time for the whole world, will be an awakening time for
Yeah,
the whole universe. So I'm
that's
very passionate about that. And I feel like that's my purpose. But again, destiny is already written. This life's already written. And I know that if I don't win, I would love to maybe, still form part of like the organization, help out the future candidates, because I know, in just
yeah.
my little 24 years of life, I have accumulated so much wisdom through experiences and knowledge that I would be more than happy to share another fellow. So,
I mean, why wouldn't you share? Why contain this in
yeah,
this beautiful orange
yeah,
package? Share it to
yes.
the world.
But I hope to be the winner so I can share it through the right platform.
Thank you so much, Pam. It
Yeah,
was so
thank you.
nice to meet you. This was a really good break. For you guys who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. I know we've been seeing so much of each other lately because I've been doing a lot of these live shows with them because, yeah, we are in the middle of
That's
pageant
good.
season.
Yes.
And let me just throw this in for a little bit of good luck. I don't know if this means something, but they say that if you make a stop at this channel for an interview with me,
Uh-huh.
you get higher chances of winning. Because, yeah, apparently
Woo!
that's the
No, that's
Tita
good. I'll
Lavinia
receive
magic.
it. I'll receive it. Thank you so much.
So
Thank
good
you.
luck. I know it's very competitive. I mean, we don't take Mexican pageantry lightly.
Yeah.
So I know that you will be entering something really serious, something really very competitive. And if you have the approval of these Filipino fans commenting on YouTube about how beautiful you are or how good your communication skills are. It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter actually if you're representing the USA because for us, you are Miss Mexico. And we
Oh,
are,
thank
of
you.
course, very supportive. I know that we've had like as people, we have
Mm-hmm.
been connected to each other through history,
Yeah.
sports, entertainment, our love for food, music, and family. So, Pam, thank you so much and good
Thank
luck on
you.
your Mexicana Universal journey.
Thank you.
Arriba,
Yeah,
Mexico!
Arriba Mexico. I wanted to quickly say that, to Filipinos and to you, Tita, too. I want to, show you guys the importance of what Philippines means to me. Whenever I think of Philippines, it reminds me of home away from home. It reminds me of a growth period, a transitional period in Pam's life. And also, I learned a lot over there. I really grew up over there. And, through Mommy G and other things that I learned over there, I'm bringing my Filipino side onto Mexico. So, y'all are part
There
of the
you
journey
go.
too. Yes.
Our sister from another mother. Thanks,
Yes.
guys. Thank you, Linel.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, guys. I'm
Bye.
going to end this now, Pam.
Bye.